Have you ever felt like you were doing everything right, eating salads, skipping dessert, hitting the gym, but the scale refuses to budge? Or worse, you seem to be gaining weight specifically around your midsection? It is incredibly frustrating. You blame your willpower. You blame your genetics. You might even blame the specific type of carbohydrate you ate last Tuesday. But science suggests that the culprit might not be on your plate at all. It might be in your mind, or more accurately, in how your ancient biology reacts to your modern life. Here is the central question we need to answer today. Why would a mechanism designed to save your life actually end up harming your health? To understand this, we have to look at the human body not as a flawed machine that hates you, but as a survival specialist that loves you a little too much. Your body is like an overprotective grandmother who insists you wear 3 sweaters when it is slightly chilly outside. It is trying to protect you, but it is reacting to the wrong signals. This is not about calories in, calories out. That is simple math, but biology is rarely simple math. Biology is chemistry and history wrapped together. Today, we are going to look at the why. Why does stress, an intangible emotional feeling, turn into solid physical matter on your waistline? The answer lies in a misunderstanding between your brain and your environment that has been happening for thousands of years. We are going to see how your body prepares for a war that never happens, and why it decides to stockpile supplies for a famine that never comes. This is the science of the survival switch. To understand why stress makes you store fat, we first have to understand what stress actually is to your biology. Today, we use the word stress to describe a traffic jam, a deadline, or an argument on the internet. But for 99.9% of human history, stress meant one thing: immediate physical danger. A predator was chasing you, or you were fighting for your life. Let's imagine a switch in your brain. When you see a threat, your brain flips this switch. This is the famous fight or flight response. When this switch flips, your body shifts into emergency mode. It stops caring about long-term projects like digestion, immune system repair, or reproductive health. Who cares about digesting lunch if you are about to be lunch for a lion? All energy must go to the muscles immediately. This is where the chemical messenger called cortisol enters the story. Think of cortisol as the project manager of a construction site during a crisis. Its job is to gather resources right now. When the brain sounds the alarm, cortisol floods your system and shouts an order to your liver: dump all the fuel you have into the bloodstream. Your liver obeys and releases glucose, sugar, into your blood. This is supposed to be the jet fuel for your legs to run away from that tiger. Now, here is the problem. In the ancient world, you would run. You would burn off that massive surge of sugar in a burst of intense physical activity. You would survive, the cortisol levels would drop, and you would go back to normal. But today, your tiger is an angry email from your boss. Your predator is a stack of unpaid bills. You sit in your chair, completely motionless. Your heart races, your brain panics, and your liver dumps all that fuel into your blood. But you don't run. You just sit there. Now your blood is full of sugar, energy, with nowhere to go. Your body looks around and says, well, we have all this fuel and the muscles aren't using it. We can't leave it in the blood, that is dangerous. So it calls in another hormone, insulin, to clean up the mess. Insulin takes that unburned sugar and stores it. And because the body thinks you are in a dangerous environment, remember, it thinks there are tigers everywhere, it doesn't just store it anywhere. It stores it as fat. It puts that energy into long-term storage because it assumes you will need it for the next attack. You didn't eat extra food, but your body created fat from its own internal stores because of a false alarm. Now that we know the mechanism, let's look at how this plays out in the real world, because the body is actually very specific about where it puts this stress fat. You might have noticed that some people carry weight in their hips or legs, while others carry it almost exclusively in their belly. Stress is the architect of the belly fat. Deep inside your abdomen, under the muscle, wrapping around your organs, is a type of fat called visceral fat. This is different from the squishy fat on your arm. Visceral fat is biologically active. Think of visceral fat not just as storage, but as a separate organ. Science shows that this fat tissue has 4 times more cortisol receptors than other fat in your body. It is like a magnet for stress signals. Why? Because it is located right next to the liver. Your body is smart. If it thinks you are constantly under attack, it wants the emergency fuel source to be as close to the distribution center, the liver, as possible. It is building a pantry right next to the kitchen so it can access the energy fast. Let's look at a real-world cycle that many people experience. We call it the comfort food loop. When cortisol is high, it dulls the brain's sensitivity to pleasure. To feel normal, you need a stronger hit of dopamine. At the same time, your body, thinking it has just run a marathon away from a predator, screams for dense, easy energy. It wants high-calorie, high-sugar foods. It doesn't want broccoli. Broccoli takes too long to digest and has too few calories. It wants cake, pizza, and burgers. So you are stressed. You haven't moved physically, but your body thinks you ran 5 miles. It demands high-calorie replacement fuel. You eat the donut. Because you are stressed, your insulin levels are already primed to store fat. You eat the sugar, it goes straight to the visceral fat pantry. This visceral fat then releases inflammatory chemicals that create more stress in the body, which releases more cortisol, which makes you crave more sugar. It is a self-perpetuating machine. Consider the sleep connection as well. Cortisol is naturally supposed to be high in the morning to wake you up and low at night to let you sleep. Chronic stress keeps cortisol high at night. It's like leaving the lights on in the factory 24/7. You can't enter deep sleep. When you are sleep deprived, your hunger hormones go wild the next day. You are statistically more likely to overeat by hundreds of calories simply because you didn't sleep well, all triggered by that initial stress response. What does this change about how we view our bodies? It shifts the narrative from shame to understanding. If you are struggling with weight during a difficult time in your life, it is not because you are weak. It is because your body is doing exactly what it evolved to do: survive a harsh winter or a war zone. The problem is not the biology. The problem is the mismatch between our biology and our society. This understanding of the universe inside us leads to a powerful realization. To change the body, we often have to start by changing the signal we send to it. We cannot always quit our jobs or eliminate all stress. However, we can manually switch off the alarm. Science shows that physical action completes the stress cycle. Remember, the body expects you to run or fight. When you feel stressed and you sit still, the cycle stays open. But if you exercise, even a brisk walk, you are telling your body, I have escaped the tiger. I have used the energy. I am safe now. You burn the glucose before it becomes fat, and you signal to your brain that the immediate danger is over. Furthermore, we now know that perception matters. The body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. If you can convince your brain that you are safe, through breathing, meditation, or simply changing your perspective on a problem, you cut the fuel line to the fat storage mechanism. So, the next time you feel that wave of stress, remember, your body is essentially a well-meaning survivalist preparing for an apocalypse. You don't need to fight your body. You just need to let it know that the war is over, the tiger is gone, and it is safe to unlock the pantry doors. When you calm your mind, you are literally changing your chemistry. If you want to understand more about the crazy ways your body works, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments, do you notice your cravings change when you are stressed? Let's talk about it.